A chance on here. And Pearson. Smith slips slightly. Jimmy Greenough. And has it gone in by Macquarie, is it?
You dream of winning the FA Cup. It's just motivates you.
And it might come now for Koppel. That's the second one, a brilliant goal for Manchester United.
But the FA Cup was the biggest deal of all. Definitely, there's no doubt about it.
We knew that on the day, on a one-off game, we could match them and beat them.
Manchester United are through to Wembley for the second successive year.
Just over the moon. I thought I was fated never to get to Wembley in an FA Cup final, and it's finally happened. I just can't believe it.
Well, I wonder what's going through Manchester United's minds at the moment. I wonder if ever a thought of Southampton and last season even occurs to them now, or do they wipe that clean and say to themselves, this is quite another game?
I think the whole world stopped just to watch the FA Cup final. It was a tradition.
The choice was to go to Wembley to watch Manchester United in the cup final, or attend my sister's wedding as best man. No choice. I went to Wembley.
We went down on the Friday night, myself and 11 friends, and we slept in the van in Wembley car park. And we'd got our own flag, and it felt great. As a supporter, those memories you don't forget.
When I was asked to do the research for the 1977 FA Cup final from the National Football Museum, I was absolutely blown away with the complete and utter passion and dedication of the fans coming up to the actual 77 FA Cup as well. And that's what stood out to me.
Wembley 77 was the culmination of a roller coaster era for Manchester United. The end of a colourful period that included incredible highs and lows.
I think most of the supporters back then had been fortunate enough to watch George Best and Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law and company. And that was starting to come to an end. A new team was starting to form.
You know, if you don't play well, the league table never lies. Of course, we got relegated.
The relegation came, with obviously the game at Old Trafford being party to that.
Tommy Docherty was the manager when the Reds hit rock bottom in 1974.
Despondency, getting relegated, a club of Manchester United stature shouldn't have been in that position, but unfortunately we were.
I feel very, very certain. I've never been as certain of anything in my life. This club will return next year to where it should never have left, as the First Division.
The Doc was true to his word. United breezed through the Second Division.
Coppell, he's round his man. Good low ball, yes!
And 12 months later, the Reds returned to the top flight as champions.
People saying to me, what a great side you've got, how good it is to watch. And even Sir Matt loved it as well, because the team played the way his teams played.
What a superb goal by Willie Morgan!
The first season back in the top division ended in a third-place finish, behind champions Liverpool and Queen's Park Rangers. United's highest position since the European Cup-winning season of 1968. United also reached the FA Cup final that season of 75-76, a trophy they'd last won in 1963.
And Hill, it was deflected! And that surely ties it up! Gordon Hill's second goal! And all around the ground now, all you can see is red and white of Manchester United. And there's the happiest Londoner that ever went to Manchester.
Doc's red and white army started to come flying back. We came buzzing out of the Second Division, right up to the First Division, stayed at the top of the First Division and tried to dislodge Liverpool, and went to the final of the FA Cup, so we were back.
We had a very attacking-minded team. A lot of youngsters came through, but myself, Martin, Stuart Houston came as well. Lou Mackay was obviously there. A lot of seniority. Enough seniority in the team was there to guide the young players through.
Great play by Sammy McElroy. Along the line, Pearson, and it is!
We were a young, exciting team. We didn't know the word failure. We just used to go for everything. We used to concede a few goals, but we used to score more than conceded. So it was great, attractive, attacking football, and I think the fans loved it.
Hoadley, that'll fall for Brian Greenough. And look at Morgan in so much space now. Willie Morgan for Manchester United. And that's a beautiful goal. That is a beautiful goal.
We got into a winning habit in the second division, which continued. We took a lot of people by surprise the first year back in 75, 76. And I always think we might have gone closer to winning the title had we not been distracted by the FA Cup.
The main thing was to make sure at the first attempt you got back, and we managed to do that. And I think after that, we started to grow in confidence, got a few results.
Pearson. He's done well. Done very well indeed. Morgan the scorer.
And teams that do come back from the league below, you know, sometimes take years to find their feet in the higher league again, but we didn't. We gave a good account of ourselves, and eventually we were turning up at Wembley.
You dream of winning the FA Cup. It's just motivates you. And because like getting to like the semi-final and winning that and thinking, well, we're playing Southampton, a second division team, we're odds-on favourites.
Southampton had a very experienced team, although they were in a division below. They had guys that had played in big matches at Wembley as well. You know, Mick Shannon, England international, Jim McCalliog, who was at United, Peter Rodriguez, right back, and played for Sheffield Wednesday in the 60s. You know, so they had Peter Osgood as well, ex-Chelsea. So they had some experienced guys mixed in with some young lads as well.
Some of the lads got a bit carried away with the attention, and they thought we were going to be millionaires with the players' pool. Got a bit distracted, and you know, there was all the suits and shoes and everything. It was a bit distracting.
I started going round telling these young lads who were laughing and joking, hey, come on. It's a one-off game, this. This is not going to be pushed. They're an experienced team now. Get it in your heads.
The atmosphere was unbelievable. And I remember seeing what was going to happen. They'll be in the tunnel. It's like a beehive, the noise you can hear at the top. You walk up, it gets bigger and noisier and wider. Wallop.
The entry of the two sides, Manchester United on the left, led by Tommy Docherty, and on the right by the 6'4" Laurie McMenemy.
The first 20 minutes, I think we got battered.
We played well. We attacked. We went at them. Okay, we could have scored a couple of goals, but it didn't work that way. And we fell for the trap. I mean, they were a good team. Simple as that.
That's the shot. Oh, and there was a chance there.
Well, the FA Cup was the biggest deal of all because the coverage was 8 o'clock in the morning till kick-off, and then after the game had ended, probably till 8 o'clock at night. People summarising where it went wrong or right for whatever team. Definitely, there's no doubt about it, that was the massive event of the year. Always full house, no matter who was playing.
Dangerous. This could be dangerous. Pearson down there. Oh, and McIlroy very nearly turned it in.
You know, they were experienced and they could handle the day better than what we can. And plus the fact they were so much the underdog, they rose to the occasion better than we did.
The Southampton players, Mike Shannon.
You were flying high, and all the young whippersnappers, you know, Hills and, you know, Coppell, they were all quick. Pearson played centre forward, you know, McIlroy's, you know, you had, and that was the Docks team, you know. We knew we could compete with them, and I should have scored in the first half.
But it's McCalliog now for Southampton.
The long ball forward, exactly right for Shannon. Oh, and he very nearly made it.
Bobby Stokes, bless him, got that goal 7 minutes from the end, and it was the longest 7 minutes of my life.
Nice touch again. McCalliog. Oh, look at this. Bobby Stokes.
Hit well. Oh, he's there. Stokes has put Southampton in the lead.
Obviously gutted that we didn't win it. Everybody was devastated, fans, players, management. We just couldn't believe it. We had most of the game, we should have won the game, but as you know, most cup finals nowadays, the underdog seems to win it.
And I thought that was my last chance, because what a great chance for me to win my treble medal. You know, I won the league in '67, the European Cup in '68. 8 years later, I got a chance to win the FA Cup. I thought that was it, to be honest.
Brian Greenough was described as a model professional by the doc, and he was always a fan's favourite. When he died suddenly, the day after the 36th anniversary of the '77 final, it was a huge shock for everyone that knew and loved him. Back in 1976, after losing the cup final that year, the images of Brian sat inconsolable after defeat still resonate with his family.
Well, we left just before the end because I knew him, and I knew he'd actually break down, but I knew he'd be flooded tears, you know. He loved Man United so much.
He obviously sat down after that 76. He was not happy with his losers medal, and I think that went flying across the bedroom when he got back at the night. And you know, he wanted that winners medal. I don't think we've ever seen the '76 final. That was banned from the house.
I was more disappointed after that game than we were when we got relegated, because I was so sure we were going to beat Southampton. I said at the time we'll go back next year again, but it was that was my heart talking, not my head.
Once again, the doc made a big promise to United's dedicated legion of fans. And when the doc famously said, "You'll be back," what did you think at the time?
Well, obviously, I mean, we were absolutely gutted losing that cup, because you know, we were odds-on favourites, and you're thinking, is that your chance at Wembley gone? But when the doc got up in Manchester and said, "Listen, we're all disappointed, but we'll be back next year and we will bring the cup back to you," a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it worked.
Tommy Docherty came out with the saying that, you know, on the town hall steps, "We'll be back next season to win it for you," which is a bit of a bold thing to say, because you need a lot of luck in cup games.
Really not quite knowing where to put themselves or what to do. Brian Greenough really is in a bad way.
I remember when I signed, I says, "We will be back." I didn't know he had said it at the time. Says, "I'll get you back to Wembley." Fortunately, it came off. When I went to watch the '76 final, we stayed in a hotel opposite the Russell Hotel, where the lads were staying.
Docherty coming out with dignity.
I knocked on the door. It was the side door where they won't let you go in the front door. And a bouncer came, or security man, whatever you like to call them. And I explained that I've come to see my brother, I've been invited. And he wouldn't. He says, "You're not going in there. I've been told no one comes in." And just then someone came out, and who spied me? It was Tommy Doc. And he come walking to it, and he said, "What's the matter?" So I said, "No, he's just saying no one's allowed in, no one's allowed in." He turned to the bouncer, security man, or whatever you call him, and he said, "If this lad had played today, we'd have won." I thought, how nice. And then kind of 6 months later, I signed for United.
I think Jimmy will tell you himself, he was quite fortunate. If my memory serves me right, the main stand at Stoke, the roof blew off it, and they had to sell a player. And Jimmy was probably the first and last player ever to be sold, because he was going to be part of paying for a roof.
I can't believe that they actually turned up on the streets to welcome the team back when they didn't even win. So the passion and the dedication of the fans over that era stood out to me as an artist, and I wanted to try and find a way to portray their passion.
I went the year before, we lost to Southampton 1-0, very, very disappointing, very cried, you know, all that way, and it was nothing. Then we got there again, you have the token sheet, got all your tokens, ticket office, ticket in the post, that was it.
We were up for it because obviously we'd followed United for years. We'd been up, had the ups and downs, and obviously we were on the up. And when the doc said that year, we knew we'd be back.
At the time, the chap married my sister. He was a big Manchester United fan. You know, I used to go to the game with him. He was Manchester United mad. The week before the cup final, we went into Manchester while he sold his cup final ticket, and he fully understood that, you know, if it had been him, he'd have done the same thing.
"40 years later, United's heroes were back at Old Trafford. to celebrate the opening of an exhibition in the club's museum to mark their cup-winning season.
We were underdogs against Liverpool, that fantastic Liverpool side. They had won the league.
When you look at the team that we had then, the players, there was experience, there was youth, you know, it was such a good team.
The realisation that we denied Liverpool the treble wasn't a bad, wasn't a bad consolation either. What do you think of the show so far?
Most of the team that reached the 76 final were back the following year. But one key addition to the squad was Brian Greenough's brother, Jimmy.
I just knew that Tommy Doherty did want me, and it's nice to, when you know that you are wanted, definitely wanted with my brother. And then I remember when the deal was going on, my brother, and he said they all want you, Jim, so that was lovely.
Jimmy Greenough's signing from Stoke City was to prove a masterstroke by the Doc. His goals were vital, and he scored 4 on the way to Wembley.
Jimmy Greenough was a good signing, and obviously pal of mine, Jerry Daly, left, which was a little bit of a surprise because Jerry was a very, very good footballer.
Here's Daly.
I actually moved from the forward alongside Stuart Pearson back into midfield when Jerry left, and Jimmy Greenough, as you say, came. And Jimmy added that little bit of class to us up there. Him and Stuart Pearson had a very, very good understanding. And Jimmy was a fantastic signing.
Jimmy Greenough sending through McCarry. That does count.
He was a centre-forward who could lead the line well, his goal scorer, and his contribution while he was at the club was brilliant.
When Alex stepped, they got the ball, everybody sprinted out wide, and the first thing they all thought of was getting the ball to me and Jimmy Greenough, and that was our system.
The road to Wembley 77 began with a home tie against Walsall. Gordon Hill scoring the only goal of the game.
And in the fourth round, another 1-0 win, just this time against Queen's Park Rangers, and McIlroy's shot turned in by Macari. Do you remember that?
I think that game, if I can remember right, I think the conditions were a little bit dodgy on the day. This side of the ground was iced over, and QPR, some of their players didn't fancy it. You know, they were a footballing side at that time, and they liked to get the ball down and play, but some of them were like struggling underfoot, and we got that goal to win it. It was a tight game because conditions can even it up. They were a good side, but again we sneaked through 1-0 to get into the next round.
Good positive run. Hale wide. Got the luck with the bounce. Here's Greenough. Pearson at the back of the box. McIlroy, and turned in by Macari.
1-0, 1-0. That sometimes you have to grind out results and win 1-0. And every time you keep winning, you go into the next round. You think, oh yeah, we've got a chance, you know. And because don't forget, the crowd, United supporters were absolutely fantastic. I mean, they wanted it because you know they've been so long without a trophy.
You're going to come up against obviously lower division teams. Everybody expects you to beat them, and you've seen over the seasons there's cup upsets. We've seen some big cup upsets this season. So it doesn't mean to say you're going to win just because you get a smaller team.
Macari. Oh, good ball to Pearson. He waited his moment.
The attacking style that would take United to 2 successive cup finals was made possible by the unique combination of 2 brilliant goal-scoring wingers.
Hill and overcomes the corner, and it's come out to Hill. Yes!
In United's cup-winning season, Gordon Hill was top scorer with 22 goals.
And can Coppell drive one? What a goal!
While Steve Coppell weighed in with 8.
Gordon Hill was one of the best goal-scoring wingers you'll ever seen.
He signed for my old club, Millwall, and he was a chirpy character, but he was a winger and would score 15 to 20 goals a season.
Hilly, the way he used to do things, he used to beat 2 or 3 players and cross it for me and Jimmy, score goals. He used to take brilliant free kicks. He used to do everything. And he'd come in with 10, 12 goals a year, And what a great return that was.
Towards Stuart Pearson and Hill. Is this number 3? Yes, it is.
We had another winger called Stevie Coppell, who was fantastic. He was a great team player. He'd cross balls for you. He'd work up and down. He was great workhorse, but what a good lad and what a good player as well. And to have two wingers like that in your team, we were really lucky.
Pearson, his Coppell. Yes!
Sounds like an enjoyable team to be part of.
Loved it. I loved every minute of it. Yeah, young kids around me, apart from Big Alex in goals. Felt a little bit of responsibility to kind of help them along. They didn't need it. They were good players.
I was a young lad trying to break into that side, and when you think back about it, you know, had obviously the experience of Lou and Martin Buchan, came 5-6 years prior to that, captain, and had the experience of Alex Stepney, obviously the goalkeeper, which is important to have experience in that position if you can. But a lot of younger lads, as I spoke about, Stevie and Gordon, Sammy, Brian Greenough.
Tommy Kavanagh, the Doc's assistant, he always used to say to us, "You're a Manchester United player. If someone takes the ball off you, the first thought in your head is, how dare they? And you go and do something about getting them back. You know, if you don't get it back yourself, you make them hurry the pass so that one of the other lads can intercept it." And that was one of Cav's mantras, you know, how dare they?
Tommy was bonkers, you know, he was mad, he was at everybody, he used to wind everybody up, whereas the Doc was just the opposite, so cool, calm, and yeah, I think that's maybe why it worked. They were complete opposites.
Then round 5, you're drawn against Southampton, a chance to put the record straight.
Yeah, but it was a chance to put the record straight, but at the end of the day, we're down there again at the Dell, and that's a difficult place to go, especially. They were a little bit cock-a-hoop as well because they'd beat us the year before. The place was a sellout, the atmosphere was unbelievable, and we were glad to come away with a 2-2 draw there. It was a very, very tight game.
Pearson playing it wide. Crossed it along the goal, and it's there!
And having got the 2-2 draw at the Dell, the replay, you played quite an important role in that game.
Well,
scored both the goals.
And I did say as I was going out to the dressing room, I don't know if any of the other lads can remember, but I said, "This one's for you, lads."
Macari got the back flick and Jimmy Greenough scored!
He had a great partnership with Stuart Pearson. Fantastic. And me as a goalkeeper, I knew I could hit them. I could hit Jimmy, he would lay it off to Stuart, I could hit from a dead ball situation, and I could hit Stuart and he'd lay it off to Jimmy, or flick it on or whatever.
Pearson, Greenough, and it was deflected and it's in!
So that put you into the 6th round against Aston Villa, always a tough team to beat in those days, 2-1, and goals from Houston and Macari. I think one of the memorable things was a great goal from Stuart Houston, and sadly he missed out in the final.
Well, I think everybody was gutted that because Stuart was one of the main talkers in the team.
So when you get drawn against them at Old Trafford, unlike nowadays where you think that's a great draw and they're not doing very well, we were well aware it was game on at Old Trafford. They were always going to be difficult to beat.
We were goal down very early on at Old Trafford here.
Mortimer to Brian Little. That was a fine try and it's there! Oh, what a start by Villa, and Brian Little has produced a goal that would have been worthy of a cup final. Tommy Docherty, sullen-faced, and no wonder.
I think it was Brian Little scored for them, and we thought we've got a job on. But we did get back with a Stuart Houston free kick to level it at 1-1.
Driven by Houston! Delight now for the United manager.
And then Lou timed his run into the box perfect. I think Stuart Pearson did well in the touchline, put the ball across the back, came off an Aston Villa defender's leg and went to Lou, and he smashed it into the top corner.
This could be United's moment. Pearson. Macari! And suddenly it's all smiles on the faces of Manchester
Manchester United, and little Lou Macari has scored what may prove to be a priceless goal.
That was great, 2-1. Now you're thinking we're in the semi-final. Who are we going to get? Because there were some decent teams left in that, and we're in the semi-final also. Let's see.
So there you are, you've reached the semi-finals. You must be starting to think that those words from Tommy Docherty about bouncing back and going back to Wembley were going to come true.
Well, as I say, you need all sorts of ingredients going into a cup run. A little bit of luck, decisions going your way, maybe a penalty when it shouldn't have been or whatever, but you need a little bit of luck to play a part. Obviously, you've got to play well as well, but going over to Hillsborough to play Leeds United, who I think were favourites against us.
But the man who's given an added balance as well as penetration to the side is in fact Jimmy Greenough, the striker they bought from Stoke City.
The thing that struck me was you'd think going to Yorkshire, the split in the fans would be half and half, because, make no mistake, Leeds are a big club and were at the time, but we seem to have far more support than them for some reason. Don't know why. Whether United fans managed to get tickets from everywhere, but certainly that's the thing that struck me. And the crowd obviously play a huge part in cup games, and they could probably sense that we're on a bit of a roll, and they played a big part in that game.
United have always had a great support. They've always been wonderful. The away, if you look at it as an away fixture, the away supporters are magnificent.
Thousands turned up for every game, and if they weren't outside looking for tickets when the team bus arrived, you'd be surprised, because that was the size of the following. They wanted to go to every game, and I think there was a lot of people who wanted to go more to the away games than ever since then, because there was a desperation to see Manchester United play, and I think that's because the team looked as if it was a team that was going to go on for years and get better and better, and everyone wanted to follow that team.
Leeds and United was always a game that, you know, grabbed the attention in more ways than one, not only for football but for, you know, things that could possibly go on a pitch.
I looked at the team sheet, it was a little bit frightening, and it got even more frightening when you were standing in the tunnel and the dressing room door eventually opened, and one by one they came out the dressing room door and they lined up alongside us, because we were a small team and they were a massive team.
Pearson waiting in the middle. On the far side is Koppel, but headed away there well for Leeds United by Peter Hampton.
I remember that both teams coming out, and you looked at the Leeds side and they were full of giants.
Although Big Gordon might not want to remember this, but he stood in that tunnel and with the top of his voice and that big aggressive Scottish accent, looked at us all and shouted, "We've got F all to beat here, lads. It's just a bunch of midgets."
I couldn't believe the red and white at Hillsborough that day. I even think it shocked the Leeds, who were an experienced team. I even think they were shocked to see the support we had. There was United fans up trees behind goals. There was red and white right round the ground, and that gave us a great boost.
And we weren't scared of anyone. As simple as that. But I know for a fact that some of the Leeds players thought it's an easy touch here, and they got a very unpleasant surprise.
Jimmy Greenough and also Steve Koppel, you scored some valuable goals, didn't you?
That was a fantastic second goal from Stevie, yeah. Jimmy sort of like in the 6-yard box, there was a little bit of a skirmish and stuck his foot out like a half volley into the top corner.
So Hill with his corner. On the wind, a back header by Houston, and Jimmy Greenough.
And Stevie got the second one, a great strike.
Hill planted high and hopefully forward. Oh, that time Pearson won it in the air, and it might come now for Koppel. That's the second one, a brilliant goal for Manchester United. Stevie Koppel.
And then they got a disputed penalty. Jimmy Nicholl and Joe Jordan, I think, collided, and Joe actually fouled Jimmy.
Now if he can get past Nicholl, just look how goal, penalty.
They scored with a penalty, and Jimmy Nicholl was coming back probably to knock it back to me, and Joe Jordan passed him and absolutely elbowed him in the face, and they got a penalty because I nearly got it. As Alan Clark scored against me.
A cool head, a sure shot, and sure Leeds need it now, and they've got it 2-1.
But you know, we survived, and it was great to be in the final again.
But doubly pleasing for me as well, not that I thought about it at the time, but I just couldn't stand if Leeds had beat us.
Manchester United are through to Wembley for the second successive year.
That was really lovely when we beat them especially.
But look at those scenes of joy from United, who badly want to repair the damage to their pride and make it up to their fans for that defeat in the final last year.
We was a young team, and then as soon as we know we can beat Leeds in a game like that, we know we're ready for Liverpool.
Manchester United were back in the FA Cup final. After defeating 70s powerhouse Leeds United, treble-chasing Liverpool, the most powerful team of that era, awaited in the final. A daunting prospect for some of the younger players.
Well, I felt a little bit uncomfortable playing in the game, to be honest with you, because I wouldn't have been playing. I'd been in the squad for most of the games we just spoke about. It was the first FA Cup game I played because Stuart Houston unfortunately broke his ankle 3 weeks prior to the game at Bristol City.
So sad for Stuart, who did well that season, consistent player, always helped me he was behind me and he let me know exactly what was around me, and you know, we thought he was going to be sadly missed, but you know, little Arthur came in on the day and did a fantastic job, but it was so sad for Stuart.
As Forsyth chips it into the far side towards Houston. Oh, and what a header! And it's there by Houston! 2-0.
Stuart Houston was actually a very good centre-half. Although he played left-back, I did play alongside him a couple of times at centre-half, and he was excellent. In fact, I think he was playing centre-half when he broke his ankle at Bristol City.
So reaching the final, obviously you wanted to win the FA Cup, but how significant was it in your mind that Liverpool had the chance of the treble?
Well, that's right. I mean, they were the team. They were the team to beat. They'd won the league. They were in the European Cup final the Wednesday after the final, and everyone was tipping them to do the treble. It was good for us, you know, to be the underdogs, especially after 76 against Southampton when we were favourites. But to be the underdogs, give us that lift, and we didn't really want to lose it after the way we lost it in 76. So there was a little bit added incentive there, but we knew that Liverpool, it was going to be a very, very tough game.
We knew more in the 77 Cup final. The players knew more than they realised they did in 76.
I think the biggest help was the fact that in the dressing room that day, when you're spending that hour period between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, which is the build up to the game, I think the preparation was different because it was more relaxed. Because in the other dressing room and across, you know, from you in the Wembley tunnel was a Liverpool Football Club that everyone had predicted would win the match because of the team they had and because of what they'd done in the league. They'd won that, and people thought there's no way they could be stopped.
We had some experienced players in there, Tommy Smith, Emlyn Hughes and the likes, Kevin Keegan, Ray Clements. So they you know, we played like through games like that. So they keep the younger ones in check as well. So we were not overconfident, but we thought we could win the game.
The FA Cup was the showcase event of the season, the day that every young footballer dreams of. And the eyes of the footballing world were watching in anticipation as Wembley hosted the grand showdown between two of the country's most successful and glamorous teams. A fascinating battle between familiar foes.
Jimmy Nicholl playing it in towards Jimmy Greenough, a backward header towards Pearson, goal kick.
We could always give Liverpool a game. We were never intimidated by Liverpool.
Oh, and Koppel, Macari, oh, side netting.
I remember heading the ball on, beating them for pace, and the ball was bouncing quite high on the edge of the box, and I thought, man, she'll just keep the ball low.
Oh, and Pearson put through by Greenough. Jones is after him. Pearson shot, goal!
Keep it low, and that's exactly what I did, and I hit it absolutely perfect, and it went under Ray's left hand side of the post.
The banners are out, and you might think it's the Stretford end.
Stuart Pearson hit a shot that I would think maybe surprised Ray Clements. He's probably thinking it's going to go over the other side of the goals, but it's when he's went in at the near post, and Stuart had a great technique of sort of, not a lot of backlift, but hitting it sort of with a lot of power.
I know people will blame Clements because he beat him at the near post. The force with which he hit that shot was incredible, and England keeper or not, he wasn't stopping that.
Joey Jones bringing it forward. Here's Keegan, the touch for Kennedy, blasting it just over.
There's certain cup finals you think, oh, this is going to be a great game. They're not very good. I don't think our game against Southampton was brilliant, but I thought the Liverpool game was excellent. Jimmy Case scored a fantastic goal.
And then it come on my right knee, and then I just knocked it to my left, and before they hit the floor, I turned and hit it.
Too high for Keegan, but Case is there. The shot by Case, a goal! 1-1. What an answer!
And it was one of those ones where, you know, when you have a golf shot, you don't feel the ping and it just goes. Well, it was one of them, and apparently I think Alex Stepney got a hand to it, but yeah, he wouldn't have stopped it, don't think.
It was game on, and we kept going and end to end, and that's the only way we could play, because they had a certain Kevin Keegan up front who was a tremendous player.
Keegan. Johnson on the far touchline. On this near touchline rather, but it's Keegan now for Liverpool.
You need a little bit of luck at Wembley, and on that day we did, with our winning goal.
Jimmy Greenough getting the Golden Chest Award rather than the Golden Boot, but Lou hit a shot and it sort of took a deflection and then looped into the net, and we got the goal.
Hughes with the leap, but he's beaten in the air. Greenough trying to get in behind Tommy Smith and might succeed in doing so. And the ball's in the net. And it's got to be down to Jimmy Greenough, although...
Lou even funnily admits it, that if his shot hadn't hit Jimmy, it would have went into some railway station behind the goal or something like that.
Things happened that quick that when it ended up in the back of the net, it didn't even cross my mind that had happened, because I remember jumping up on the halfway line and trying to win a ball in the air, winning the ball, flicking it on, and thinking, right, I've got to scamper up to that, the most important area of the pitch, which is that penalty box, get in there and see what happens.
It's in the history books, it was up on the scoreboard. Lou probably was a bit disappointed, but it's Greenoff's goal, and I'm keeping it.
United had done it, and winning the FA Cup tasted all the sweeter against mighty rivals Liverpool. Team spirit, courage under pressure, and a slice of luck with that winning goal, the perfect formula.
It was fantastic also stopping Liverpool for the treble, but the disappointment in the 76 to beat Liverpool 77 made it really, really sweet.
We promised you last year we would bring the cup back, and we brought the cup back to the finest supporters in the world.
Wasn't so common, but it wasn't unique, but to have two brothers in the team, it was quite nice for the Greenough brothers, wasn't it?
Very much so. Obviously Brian came up through the youth system here like myself, I think 4 or 5 years older than me. Broke into the side around about the same time as Sammy McElroy, maybe just after. Then played at centre back with Martin, and everybody said at the time, because Martin's like 5'10", 5'11", Brian's was a similar height, everybody thought they could get outdone in the air quite a lot, but they never did because they both read the game so well. But Brian moved back from midfield.
A call in the way. Now Brian Greenhoff.
He was coming in with it and starting off attacks, which you've got to be here at United, because usually all the midfield players and strikers are all marked up tight. Teams are defending against you, but if you've got people that can bring it out from the back and pick a pass, you've got a great chance of setting an attack up of your own.
For the sons of the late United star, Brian's achievements in 1977 are incredibly special.
Getting to the final against which was the best team in Europe
and beating them was just an amazing achievement. You know, from coming from Barnsley with your brother, making the final and then winning it, it's just, you know, amazing achievement. And he must have been, I would just wish his dad had been there to see it.
You know, he got, you know, man of the match for what was, which was only, you know, which was a fantastic defensive display from him. You know, he couldn't have done any more, and I think that's what it really showed what my dad is about, you know, or our dad is about, you know.
He was immensely proud. I think he won every header, very rarely gave the ball away on the day, playing against the best side in England at the time. But also I think he righted a lot of wrongs from '76, not winning, being so upset. So actually winning the FA Cup for the club he supported a boy was massive for him.
Jimmy Greenough at 30, one of the true professionals of the game. Arthur Albiston just starting his career, and Brian Greenough, who must be surely one of the men of the match.
To win the final would be amazing. To play with your brother and win it, and share that moment. I mean, I look back on pictures of that day, and you can just see it in the faces. You know, they're embracing a lot, you know, hugging, kissing, and the pictures. It's just, I don't think you can top that. Just don't think you can.
My wife, her dad, her uncle were at the game. You know, when I was introduced to them as family, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't Louise's new boyfriend. This is Brian Greenoff's son, and people say, "How's your dad?" And I'd be,
People
like,
even ask you how you were.
You didn't ask how I was, and it was amazing. You know, that's part of being a part of United families, and you know, when you meet fans, you know, when you go to the games and that, they'll tell you about it. They'll tell you, you know, how good my dad was and what he meant to them as fans, and that it's just for us, it's just absolutely brilliant.
Obviously, at the end of the game, you know, a relief really, because Tommy Docherty's words had came true. Actually, we managed to come back with the cup, and because the support we had there was incredible. That got us through a lot of the cup games, as I say. So to turn it round the next again season when we were underdogs and win it, it was great to come back with the cup and give the fans something to cheer about.
Well, in 10 we did a bit at the town hall, got back to the ground to you know, disperse, and I still had the FA Cup in my hand. And I said to Tommy, "Doc, what do I do with this thing?" He said, "Well, take it home with you and bring it in the morning," which is what I did.
Lou Macari, who shot, deflected it off the man behind him, Jimmy Greenough, for the winning goal.
Well, when you win the FA Cup and you've got the medal and you go up those steps at Wembley second, which means you are a winner, as the lads since then, a lot of the players since then that play for Manchester United have done a lot more regular than I did and my teammates did back in the 70s, and the 80s. We still remember those days.
Obviously there was rivalry between the fans, but we got on well with the Liverpool players off the field. There was respect, but in football, if you're friendly with someone, you try harder against them. You know, it's like, you know, whatever you do with your pals, you always want to beat your pal. You know, you seem to find a little bit more. So all this nonsense, oh, you should have been speaking to him because he plays for the opposition. It's a lot of nonsense. I wasn't to be the one to win the treble. I've never lost any sleep over it.
To play at Wembley was every footballer's dream. It's okay, like, and then, you know, winning the league was obviously great. You're the consistent team if you win the league. We were just a little bit short in that department, but as a cup side, we were very good, and you know, to be there 76 and get back in 77, in them days that didn't normally happen, but we did it, and we came away with a cup, which was fantastic.
With everybody loving the FA Cup, you can always say, well, I've done it. 76, you've been there, you've done it, but you haven't won it. And sometimes nobody remembers who you play. So Southampton won in 76, who did they play that year? Oh, I can't remember. But 77, everybody knows that would be the best team in the country at the time, who were going for the treble, and Man United won. And I think it's the best achievement in my career, and the players that played in that team, who were amazing players.
What a privilege for us it's been to probably to just take a little slice of what Dad was involved in and be involved in ourselves. And again, that adds to the the comfort, since my dad passed away.
Yeah, talking about it helps in a funny way. It's not. It's when first things happen, it can be raw. And the more you talk about it, the more prouder you get, the more you want to talk about him because you're so proud of him. And just amazing achievement.
People say, suppose, would you like to be playing now? I said I'd probably like a year with just for the money, but the actual playing side on the bumpy pitches, etc. and all, I wouldn't swap it. And the people like we've just said there that you've played with, still friends with them, still meet up with them at hospitality, most of them doing the hospitality. Yeah, I'm just so glad I joined Man United.
4 decades later, Jimmy and the rest of the United team's place in history is assured. A Cavalier team, loved by the fans, they brought exciting football and silverware back to Old Trafford.
You can swap that for 10 of Gordon McQueen's.